Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 26 of SEO Tells. I'm Itamar Blauer, joined by Craig Campbell today, and we're going to be talking about how to effectively and efficiently grow your LinkedIn network so that people are actually engaging with the content that you're posting. So we're going to start off really quickly by talking about some of the mistakes that, Craig, that you've made when growing your LinkedIn network. So let's just talk about that for a couple minutes and understand how to improve on what you did and some of the hacks that you can implement right now if you want to maximize engagement on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So some of the mistakes that I've made, I got LinkedIn, wasn't really sure of what it was or how effective it would be. Now, what I will start off by saying is it is a fairly effective platform in terms of talking to people, generating leads and interacting with the right type of person. Now, at the start of LinkedIn, like anything, whether it's Facebook or any other social media, we all just add people to build up numbers because we don't know a whole load of people in the industry. We're new to the industry or whatever you might be. So I used to sit up 7 a.m. in the morning and just go bang, 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 add anyone, just so that I could get sheer volume. Now, that was my strategy, and throwing enough mud at the wall and some of it sticks is probably a strategy that I use quite a lot in a lot of different things. So I've done the same with LinkedIn, bang, 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 done it. Then came across a tool called Autopilot for LinkedIn, which done a lot of the adding for me, and used to just add people and all that stuff. What I wasn't aware of when I started out at LinkedIn, and some people might not also be aware of this yet, is you can only have 30,000 LinkedIn connections. Now, if you ever have had to delete someone from LinkedIn, it's just a tedious task. You've got to go to their name, click on the three dots, delete connection. There's no quick and easy way to quickly go back through and just delete. It doesn't work like that. It's like a three-click process. So deleting someone from LinkedIn is a pain, a hell of a lot more painful than adding people. Now, what I found was I got to the 30,000 connection list, and obviously I'd started speaking at events and I'd done a whole load of other stuff. So my brand was growing. Now, people that potentially wanted to maybe do business with me were adding me and weren't getting through because I already hit the 30,000 connection limit. So it's saying, so when I go in and I get that request, I click accept, it comes up saying you can't accept this because the connection limit has been exceeded. Now, then it's a chore for me to then go through and delete, as I say. So my strategy, when I look at it, was I was adding any Tom, Dick and Harry. There was no thought process behind it. There was nothing. So, what I was finding was that, I had a lot of recruitment agents and a lot of people that just would never, ever, ever be interested in anything I had to say or do. So, it's counterproductive. I thought at the time that I was going to be getting my stuff out to a massive audience and some of them might be interested, blah, 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 blah. But when people don't interact with your posts or your videos or whatever you're putting on in LinkedIn, it has a negative impact on your stuff. Your stuff's just kind of buried down there. So what, we need to be doing in hindsight, and obviously after my mistakes, is making sure that we get the right people on LinkedIn. It's not about having 30,000. It's about, having 2,000 fully engaged people who actually like what you do. And, algorithmically, if those 2,000 people are engaging with your stuff, it's going to get shown to a much wider audience, and organically you're going to get more clicks, and that stuff's going to grow at a much better rate and actually provide value. Now, that is all good and well. We get that concept. It's very simple and easy to understand. But how do we put that into practice? Itamar, give us some actionable tips on, I've been the stupid guy. I'll hold my hands up. Gung-ho approach doesn't always work. How do we do a more refined process? What are you doing? Give us some tips, some advice. Is there any automated way of doing it, or is it better being done manually? Give us some juice here.
Yeah, I'm sure, there are tools to be able to automatically add people who have a certain job title or are in a certain industry. But I feel like in terms of adding people that engage, that's going to be a more manual process. But it's something that's not too difficult to do. So what I've been doing recently is I will look through my feed and I will find you'll usually at the start of your feed, you'll see the posts that have been engaged with the most. LinkedIn want to show you always the posts that have the most engagement at that current that time scale or whatever it may be. So what you do is you go and look into those posts if they are related to your industry. So for example, I saw a post about SEO. That was the first thing that came up on my feed. I took a look at the 100 people that have liked it and about the 20-30 comments that had there. If I find in the job title of somebody who liked and commented it had something related to SEO or digital marketing, I would go add them as a connection. Very simple. Highlight over the name, click connect, done. And the reason why I did that is because these people are more likely to engage with SEO content, as evident by them engaging with it. So, the first thing I do is I'll look at people who comment, because I think comments have much more value than likes. I think it's much easier to get likes than it is to get comments. And that's, consistent across most social media platforms, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, right? But on LinkedIn, look through the comments first. If anyone's got any relevant job title and has commented, especially if they comment a lot of stuff, if they comment, things that really add to the discussion, these are the people who you want to add first. Because what I found is that when I've been doing this and adding these people that engaged, they almost immediately start to engage with my content. And why is that? Because as soon as you get a new connection, the LinkedIn feed is going to show you the most recent or some of the most recent pieces of content that you've shared on your LinkedIn profile. So they're going to see that. And if they think that content's good enough, if they like that type of content, they're more likely to engage with it. And that's what I found for myself. And it's been able to really, really grow my profile on LinkedIn organically, just from adding people and just being smarter about the way you build up a network on there.
Yeah, I think the key word you say there is being smarter with it. I was reckless with that, and it doesn't do you any favors whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about this sensibly. If you add a whole bunch of builders and you're in the SEO industry and builders are not really interested in anything you've got to say, what is the end result there? It's just always going to be doomed to failure. I think a common sense approach to this is the important part, because we always do hear people, right, Itamar, saying, LinkedIn's good for business, LinkedIn's bad for business. People are always saying it's good, it's bad, and whatever. I think most of the people that are saying it's bad is using that stupid approach that I used at the start, where it's just not the right audience. We know if you're talking to the right audience, you've got the right people following you, and you're projecting the right information out there, you can't really go wrong. But one thing that I find painful with LinkedIn is the amount of automation that I see people using these days. Now, you kind of sidestep the fact to that you alluded that you may not be using automation. Now, I see a lot of people who automate a lot of stuff and they're adding me, and then I instantly then get a message saying, Craig, how are you? If you get 15 minutes for a chat. And that level of automation is actually irritating. It leads me to just removing that connection. So I think, whilst automation is a good thing, I think you can over-automate a lot of stuff. And I think for me, on a personal level, and I'm going to ask you if you've seen anything like this as well, but, I get people coming to me on LinkedIn saying, Craig, what are you up to? Tell me more about yourself. Does that stuff actually work? Like, I'm not, like, you've added me and you want me to tell you who I am and what I do. Like, what the fuck is that? And who's doing that? Who is educating people on this stuff? Is that just bad automation? Surely that's bad practice, right?
That's terrible use of automation. I think, if you want to automate things, like, by all means, if you want to do it. But I feel like you have to have common sense. If you're going to be automating a message to everyone you add saying, hi, it's great to meet you, like, tell me a bit about yourself. It's like, well, you clearly haven't looked at this person's profile. It just screams of just, just a poor attempt of mass adding connections. And yeah, like you say, common sense is your best friend when it comes to, I think, anything in the digital space, but especially when you're on a platform like LinkedIn, where if you do want to actually build strong relationships with people, professional relationships with people in your niche, that's not something you do. So yeah, that's just poor use of automation.
I think what you say there, professional niche or professional industry, people can see through that BS right away. I would advise you strongly to avoid using these stupid approaches, when it comes to reaching out. Now, I have no issue at all in adding the correct people on autopilot. If it was everyone in the digital marketing industry and you went in and, set it up to add anyone who worked in the digital marketing industry, I think that can be a good thing. But I think you've got to have that manual element where, you do some of the grunt work and don't just blanket everyone with the same message, because it really does give me the bulk.
I'd say, though, to add to that as well, though, Craig, is you do need to be a bit more careful on LinkedIn, because if you're adding everyone who's got SEO in their job title, I would, hold my I'd grab a hat, tip it down, and say probably half of the people with SEO in their title are people who are trying to sell you links. So that's also something to keep in mind, because if you end up adding all these people, you're just going to end up being bombarded with the same crap, really, and it's going to get more annoying to delete them, I reckon. But,
I mean, what you say there is really, really true. Also connecting with people in your niche is not always the best thing, because especially in our industry, as you know, I've got a ton of people that I've never met in my life on Facebook, for example. And I know this is absolutely nothing to LinkedIn, and I'm going to shut up in a minute, but it's a similar process. I get smashed daily with people who just hound the living daylights out of me trying to sell me links. So be careful, maybe not to use automation and just add every Tom, Dick and Harry in the digital niche. That was an off-the-cuff statement by me earlier on. And it can probably work in certain industries, but as Itamar says, like you get bombarded with link sales. How are you, sir? Want to buy a nice link, and all that stuff. And it's not about being racist or horrible or any of these things, but we don't have time to get through 100 messages a day. But I think, obviously, in order to wrap up, we all know that this LinkedIn thing is more professional people. Simply try and use common sense and don't be stupid when you're dealing with professional people. Use a more custom, simpler approach, and I think it'll work a lot better for you in LinkedIn. But anything else, any other tips you want to add before we wrap up, Itamar?
I think we've pretty much covered most of it, really. It's about, when you think of building a network, try and build a network of people who will engage with your content. I think if you are trying to grow on LinkedIn, it's more important, I think, that you start finding people who are already engaging on similar posts, so that you can get them added to your network, and they'll do the same, and they grow the network for you. It's less that you do later on. You just make a post, people enough, you've got enough people in your network who like it, they'll like and comment, and then that gets spread. So just do that, really.
Yeah, but in order to do it, as I say, use common sense. But that is us for episode 26 of SEO Tales. We will catch you in the next episode, so speak to you then, guys, and thank you again, Itamar, for taking the time to come on the show.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers, man.